Hello, we are live again on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Super excited to be here. I've got the wonderful Nicole with me. We'll talk more about Nicole shortly. I'm Christine Bell. We're not here to talk about me, but I do these snappy chats every week because I truly believe that we can learn and grow together. And it actually came out of me finding it a bit lonely to be in business. And you can go down with some of the struggles that we all have, the challenges we all have, or we can choose to rise. And I find that when we learn and work with others and we learn and grow together with others, we'll find that we have many of the same challenges. And instead of going down, it actually lifts us up. So this is what it's all about. And true to form, we have the wonderful Royce here. He is by far my favorite person from the house who always shows up. And I really appreciate it. And we've got Michelle Ward here too. Great to see you, Michelle. Hopefully one day Michelle will come on as a Snappy Chat guest as well, if you're interested, Michelle. But Nicole, you fascinate me. Why? Because you are in a space of marketing that, even though I've got many years in marketing, I don't really understand it so much because it's all this immersive virtual event space. And I know it's the future and I know I need to learn about it. But hey, we got Sarah here as well. But please tell us more about it. And you, of course, as well, Nicole, who you are, what you do, and let's just listen.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me because it's fun to be on Snappy Chat because you've got such this great energy and you're just so curious. And it's not just questions that are get the answers, but it's the way or the story or the emotion right behind that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
gets your people excited to watch it and such a connector into the hounds to say, hey, here we all are, and you just like to share that. So thank you so much for what you're doing. But I'm Nicole Borghi, and I'm basically an immersive marketer. And what is that really? It boils down to I started as an event coordinator, a summit host, and now a virtual summit host. And so it's all things virtual. So virtual marketing is basically what it is. And the immersion comes into the 360. And that 360 world and that sphere is moving now into the event space, into virtual reality platforms. So VR, XR, there's a little augmented, a little AI, and everybody's jumping in the boat, right? So it's real humans and it's our avatars all getting together in one special place into this moment right now, which is exciting because it's so innovative, it's so creative. And if we kind of set everything up and forget it, set our strategies up and you share those strategies in your groups, and we put these strategies up and we put the foundations up, and then we can have these great events and kind of get immersed in them. When we just did an event, so it's just fun to meet people.
I mean, for me, it's so fascinating. I'm so not a tech person, yeah. And I was late to Zoom, and I don't want to be late to this because Zoom really surprised me 4 or 5 years ago. I was all in human get together, but what I love is you're not taking away the human element. You're just expanding our way of connecting and having fun with it. And so I'm going to learn a lot more from this, hopefully from you soon, because this is just fascinating. I just want to say hello to Michael here as well, and Bill is here too. Thank you so much for showing up. We really appreciate you. So I love this because I'm challenged by anything tech, yeah, which is why I tend to stay away from it. But here I am on LinkedIn doing live, which was a big step for me as well. So everything can be learned. So even when we have challenges, we can learn, we can grow from it, yeah. So tell me about you and how you build your business and any challenges you face, because we all face them. That's life, yeah.
Oh,
So what's a challenge you face that you think we can all learn from as well, please?
yeah, absolutely. So the challenge was finding a stage. So 2020 hit us, and then we were all kind of pushed onto the tech, whether we wanted it or not, as you
Yes.
mentioned before. But, I was in Toastmasters when I was teaching an 83-year-old who had always been front to front, one-to-one connections, loves the hugs, loves to talk. And a 25-year-old had to unmute on Zoom. And that's where my podcasting kind of started, was like, we can have talks and I can move around from place to place and it's just us two talking, or we can talk virtually and have a great conversation. You're in another side of the world. So the challenge, the problem, or the pain point was, okay, how do I reach people? How do I get on stage? And I'm not really probably going to go to a large event. My background, security and safety. That's a lot of people at some of these events. And I worked
Yeah.
many years in Las Vegas. So you're talking millions of people. It's a little bit much for me. I want to be more personable and kind of speak to my one-to-one audience. That's, millions of thousands of people running around, but really getting to the point where I can be a little more intimate and a little more choosy about who I bring in. Well, what's that stage look like? It's hard to find those. And then when 2020 hit, there was no stages. Where's the stage? Zoom. Okay, here's a
That was
stage. Boom.
it.
I can record on here. I can teach courses on here. I can talk to people. We had a wonderful conversation on Zoom, which I would have probably never ran into you somewhere else. And
Makes sense.
now into the virtual space and coming into where I was a child in Silicon Valley, we had the Pong back in the day, right? And the 10 and a half floppy disk. I was waiting for the time where, hey, the robots aren't taking over, but I was waiting for the time where we were going to update to our, where are we in a society of what we needed? What do we need? We need simple technology. I don't need to program the program. And it's a lot. It's too much. You got to count. You got to have math. You spend hours. And then if you forget one digit or one number, even though it boils down to ones and zeros, the whole mission is you got to ditch it and start over. No fun.
No fun.
No fun. And then now you could just click a link and boom, you're in the world. Well, we're not taking away that experience. But so now that challenge was there was a second challenge, and raising money for a nonprofit. And that's where For a Cause Marketing came in, and bringing those together. And how do I raise funds? How do I talk about it? And how do I get these people on a stage? Well, virtual reality is a space, because if there's a domestic violence victim out there, they don't have to come on camera. Now they have an avatar.
Very true. Yeah,
They come
very
in
true. Very true.
so there was two things that came in. Now we hold a summit. We just had a summit on the 13th for the teens, and people could come in and we could do some real-time post-traumatic growth. And people were a little uncomfortable on camera, but they were comfortable to come in on an avatar once we identified who they were. And so now we have a group dynamic. Now we have connection. Now we have healing. And now we have a stage. And so that all came together, and now there's more solutions.
I love what you're saying, because I come actually from a background of not just strategy, but doing qualitative, in-depth research with people, because that's how you can do the best human-centered strategies, is by really understanding humans. But that means you need to find out how to let them open up, how to get them to feel comfortable. And I love what you're saying, because not everyone, depending on the topic and depending on who you're dealing with, the best way to get them to open up is not always by putting them front line and center in terms of putting their face out there. Yeah, sometimes people need to feel safe first. It's really important having that psychological safety in terms of letting people feel that they can be seen and heard at the place they're ready for it, if that makes sense. So I love that you're saying that, because for me, that is crucial to, if we want to have a new stage that's all tech and endorsed, or it comes from technology, but we still want to make sure that we respect humans and we put them in the best space for them to be able to open up and feel that they can contribute. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Gives them the chance to open up. They're not going to get doxxed. Nobody's going to force you. Hey, you need to come on camera. Well, we've already identified you. So the controllers or the admins in the group have already identified who you are. We have a relationship that we've built with you. And now you're in a safe place. We can lock down the place. And now we can have healing. Well, if you want to have a summit and you want to have a bunch of teachers or a bunch of course creators come in, you can have a summit. I have a tech summit that I'm putting on, because as we're having this conversation, that's where this new pain point came in. I got to get my CRM. I got to get my marketing. I got to get my social media. How do I meet people? What is all this tech? There's AI and overwhelm and too much. We're in a data age. And though I was a records technician, I love data. I can go days and days and days, and I'll lock myself in a basement and never come out because I want to know, right?
And I'll be running the other way. I'll tell you that.
But it's knowing that information. It's also knowing that not everybody else wants to know that much, and we shouldn't force that on them. And the force of this knowledge, well, there's so much knowledge. How do you apply it? When do you apply it? What's the theory of it? And when do I need it? Do I need to know how the engine is built to drive the car? Sure don't. I need to know where the mechanic's at. I need to know where my checkbook's at to get the car fixed. But to drive the car, I don't need to know all that. And so teaching speakers, authors, coaches, which are my avatar, funny
Yeah.
enough, in this world, uh, how to find the stage, how to set the strategy, and how to bring that forward to use this technology overwhelm in the summits that I put together to say, hey, you don't need it. You just need to be a good leader, delegate, point the finger, tell your note taker or your order taker, your VA, what you need done, and then walk away with it from it. But know enough to hire one and not to get conned into thousands of dollars wasted. So buyer beware, and let's get into this. And that's basically, how do I make your life easy
Yeah.
without the overwhelm?
And I love that because that's exactly what I need. But what I also see in this world now is this, whether we are actually a coach or a speaker or want to be in that, we all have to learn to use our voice, yeah, because now there's so many of us out there. Before in the old days, we could see the celebrities, they were pretty much what got their attention, yeah. But in these days where we all have access to all the social media platforms, and there's so many of them, all the different podcast platforms and all this, I think most of us, even if, maybe if you're in a product world, but even serve as the founder, you still need to find your personal brand and you still need to get out there to be heard and seen. And, you know, and I think having events where you learn to actually connect with the people that are in your sort of avatar or in your group, or that you can, that you just get on with, is so important to find ways for all of us to be able to be seen and heard
Yes.
in a way that fits for us. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's a gentle space to start and say, how do I do this?
Yeah.
So the other pain point was, okay, how do I find a stage? How do I get seen and heard? How do I get a group? Or how do I get my clients to stage? Well, I'll just create one because it's hard for them to find it. And I love my healers and my coaches and my authors, but I'm best behind the scenes, not pulling the strings like Oz, but I'm better behind the scenes to kind of push you forward and nudge you a little bit
Yeah.
onto the
Yeah.
stage to say, here's a place that you can go. Speak to the avatar that you need, your clients, your people, talk to them. What a better way to brand yourself, like you're saying, and talk to your clients? Run a podcast. Even if you run a 10-minute or a 15-minute one that you're putting out weekly, whether it's live
Yeah.
or not, because people can binge it or watch it at their time,
Yeah.
you put it out there and you get to talk to your client. You get to get comments. You start moving your algorithm around. And that's so wonderful to talk to them because your clients want to hear you. Whether you have millions of followers and you're this huge influencer that it looks like on Instagram, you may be a better influencer talking to your own clients your way, one to one, which is the best way to relate. Joe Rogan says it all the time. I'm here having fun. I'm having a good time. I talk to the people I want to talk to. I talk to my audience. Those are my people, and he takes them with him everywhere they go, and they learn something. Or hey, you don't have to listen to the podcast, and that's so great to remember about being a speaker. Are you talking to your audience? And now you don't have to put a stage together. I put it together for you. You just show up and tell your wonderful story about what you're doing next.
Yeah, and I wish I met you years ago, because in 2020, when I didn't know how to use the Zoom or feel comfortable putting myself out online, I started these webinars using a platform where I didn't have to, they couldn't speak to me, or they could just write in the chat, yeah. And I would just go off with my 60 pages and overwhelm everyone because I didn't know what I was doing. Half the time I'd close down the whole thing and accidentally everything happened, yeah. All these mistake happens, and I think we have to be open to making mistakes when we try something new, yeah. But that's why we need someone like you, because if there's someone that could just say, hey, do this, do that, I've got this sorted for you, you just show up and worry about your message. That's all you need to do, yeah. That makes life a lot easier, because it's scary enough to start putting ourselves out there, let alone having to deal with the tech on top of it. But what I will say is exactly what you said: start putting yourself out there, because why not? Yeah. Why not? Get over the imposter syndrome. I had to as well, and just go, I've got something to say, I've got something to share, and find your way of sharing it in a way that works for you. For me, it was Snappy Chat, but for others that might look different. Yeah.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. It's really just getting out there. Sometimes it's unmute, and that's where I started when I was in Toastmasters. Hit the unmute button. It's as simple as turn it on. Did you hit record? Little things like that, but sometimes you need someone there. It's not always fear and it's not always imposter syndrome, though we all kind of tend to go through that at some point in time with everything we do, especially in a new launch of a product, brand, or service.
Yeah,
But the real thing is it's so overwhelming. You
yeah,
need to start one thing, try it out, get it done, go over it. You don't want your hair all crazy, but that's the
yeah,
great thing about virtual reality. You don't have to buy a new outfit. You just pop in there, you hit a link and you
yeah,
go. You can
yeah,
record it, you can do it live, and it gives you time to just kind of play around with it and have fun. And that's for me, it's lightening that magic,
yeah,
because people get so serious. I'm on Zoom. Well, me too. It's free.
yeah,
So just remember that. Nobody's out there giving you a big contract of a multi-million dollars. You have to go get it. So
yeah.
just remember, it's okay. We all put our pants on one leg at a time, basically.
Yeah.
So when you
We learn,
remember,
we learn by
yeah,
we learn by practicing basically, yeah. And you got to start somewhere to practice. And not everyone is a born speaker. I mean, Royce came from the radio, so he can obviously help you in terms of becoming a great interviewer and speaker as well. And you've been obviously in Toastmasters as well. So obviously those are great skills to have, but not all of us have them. But we can learn. We can definitely learn. And I think you're absolutely right in terms of just practicing and talk about something you're passionate about. Pick something that you feel passionate about that you know really well and start, like you said, with 10 minutes, yeah? And
yeah.
maybe bring someone on board that you know and you trust who will help you. So I remember my first few interviews in Snappy Chat with people I knew really well, yeah? I knew that they would carry me to some extent as well, in terms of making sure that it worked out. And I started with 15 minutes until Mike from the Hounds of Business community, don't forget Mike, he suggested I might extend it to 30 minutes. So that's why we're now at 30 minutes.
And that's perfect because someone like Mike from Hounds gives you a little tidbit like, hey, give this a little bit of a try. Have you
Yeah,
tried this yet? Not, hey, you're messing up. Don't do that. It's, hey, okay, we see maybe you're struggling, or maybe you should just try this. That's what masterminds are about, and groups and memberships, and having somebody do something for you, like an event host or event coordinator,
yeah,
and bringing it all together. And that's what the immersion is about, is bringing it all together into your goal and realizing how simple it is to get out there, and learning that the tech robots really aren't going to take over right now unless you want them to in your world. But it's okay. It's okay to go there. It's okay if you don't want to be on that too. That's okay. We'll meet you where you're at. And I think that's the best thing about having a group of people here, like you, Christine, because I'll meet the client where they're at.
absolutely. And Royce is saying, I remind myself daily, hey, you screwed up way bigger than that, but bigger things than this, yeah? So, yes, we all make mistakes. And sometimes we do it on a stage too. And we just have to work through it as well. And Michelle is laughing. Yeah, exactly. We can all relate to this. It's okay to make mistakes, because how are we going to learn? Like, how do kids learn to walk? Yeah, they don't learn in one instance. Yeah, toddlers
No.
have to fall down several times before they actually learn to walk properly. Yeah, it
It's
takes.
so true. It's so true. And like, and I laugh about it now and I laughed about it then, but one of my first speeches when I decided to go back to college for the second time, I ripped my pants on the full seam, right as I was getting up to speak to a group of people. Oops. Thank goodness I had a jacket.
Things happen. I won't even tell you things I've experienced in my life. Things have happened before.
But if
Yes.
when you look at that and you're going, hey, people have those dreams all the time where they go somewhere and they forget their pants when they're talking to a group of people, right? But it does happen. And if you're going, okay, this will happen once it's not if, it's when it happens, I'll be prepared here and I'll be
Yeah.
able to shine, or I'll have a good group of people to prop me up. And
Yeah.
we could tell stories about stuff like that all day. And it does. Royce is right. It happens, and
It happens all
fail
the
big.
time. Exactly, and even people on the big stage, they didn't just get there in one go. Yeah, usually there's a lot of small stages before they got to the big one. And even on the big stage, things can go wrong. Yeah, things can just not work out, whether it's technology or we just forget in the moment, or something happens. Yeah, or our pants gets, whatever happens, rips, whatever happens. Yeah, it happens. It's more how we respond to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing behind the scenes that people sometimes forget because they get so into the moment is that actors, actresses, and Tony Robbins, he has an entourage of people he's built up over the years. His wife is there, his group is there, the other
Yeah.
guy that speaks with him is there. He's got an assistant. So you can't necessarily, you shouldn't necessarily do it all yourself. I shouldn't say you can't because
No.
I'll try it all the time, but you should have a group of people with you or someone that's kind of watching you and saying, hey, did you notice this last time? Maybe you missed this. It's a little dark, or hey, I didn't hear your audio. But when you're live or when you're talking, you know what? The best way to solve that problem where you're maybe a little bit like, oh my gosh, I'm a little scared to do this, or I had an oopsie and I forgot to unmute. You go, hey, now that I am muted, how are we doing? Can you hear me now? And let people address the issue and diffuse the situation right away because everybody knows it happened.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
call attention to it, let it go away, and everybody's like, poof. Because the more you tell yourself not to think about it, that's the first thing you're thinking about. And that's why you have a group of people working with you.
That's such good advice. Have people with you, whether you start with a small support team because you can't afford more until you build yourself up like Tony Robbins and you have a huge entourage. Have someone with you who's on your side to help you. It absolutely will calm the nerves. And when something happens, you're not alone. Yeah. Someone else is there with you to try to, if you go into complete meltdown, there's someone else to help you come back up again. Yeah. And I love what you're saying. Let's have a laugh. Let's not pretend it didn't happen. Let's just diffuse it. Let's, let it be. Because guess what? This is how we build human connection too. Letting people see us as sometimes not getting it right and being okay with that is hugely empowering to other people, I believe. Oh, we got Mike here and we got Sarah back, Yolanda, Michelle, they're all loving it. So thank you so much. Sarah says speakers need to remember that the audience wants them to succeed. So relax, they're behind you. And isn't that the truth?
Yeah, yeah. They got the ticket, whether they got a free ticket or paid to see you or got the VIP bundle. They want you. They want to be there to support you. And what a better way to email your people on your list and say, "Hey, I'm speaking here, come see me." Or "Hey, I'm looking for speakers, come see me." And I'm always looking for speakers too, whether it's coaches or tech or AI or speakers and authors. I'll look for people and I want to support them and give them that community to collaborate and affiliate. That's what we're here for. We're here as a group, and we talk about it all the time. And the Hounds is such a supportive group. And it's like, if you know these people, if you have some connection to them, show up for them. And we have, Royce is there, Mike is there, and they show up and they're like, hey, how's it going? And they'll talk to you, they'll get on your podcast. And when you develop a group like that just is leaps and bounds and that generates not only your community, but the collaboration will generate financially as well. They want to support you.
Exactly. And, especially when we are stepping out of our comfort zone, yeah? Having someone behind us or having a team behind us or a group, it's so important because, if we want to grow in business and we grow bigger together, we've got to step out of the comfort zone. Yeah. We've got to be in the arena and we've got to be okay to get up when we fall down. And we've got to be okay to go, I don't know how to do this exactly, but I'm going to try it anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Give it a try. And more and more people truly are saying, hey, they want real. They don't want it all AI. They don't want it all generated, though you
Yep.
can play around and have fun with it. But they want to see you be you. That's why there's a lot more videos where you see people in their car or they're drinking
Yeah.
their Coke or whatever. They're just talking at you because
Yeah.
how else would you have that conversation? And there can be a huge production, and that's fine too. But you're going to pay through the tooth for that. And if you're starting out small, you shouldn't be paying for a lot of stuff all at once. You don't need everything.
I couldn't agree more. Like what I see with clients I work with, often they've spent literally gone into, here's my business, never checked out where there was an opportunity or spoken to who they actually want to sell it to. But they're like, too scared to do that straight or don't know how to. And then straight into, here's my website, here's all these things, spending a lot of money, yeah, lots of money, and then it's not working, and like, well, what went wrong? I'm like, well, step back, let's get clear on the strategy. And then you don't need necessarily all of it. You might need some of it, but that will be specific to whatever business you're in. What was, if you're a e-commerce store, of course you need a website, but other than that, sometimes you don't need a website for a while. Yeah, you can build your brand in other ways. You can build it on LinkedIn, you can build it through your communities and your events. There's different ways of building brands. So we just got to figure out what are we doing and why are we doing it before we spend money. But start, you don't have to spend a lot of money. And I must admit, I still do my videos on LinkedIn. Yeah, they are so homemade. Yeah, you can tell they're totally homemade. And yes, I had people kindly reach out to me and say, hey, maybe we should be able to see your eyes. Be careful with the light and all these things, and totally get it. And I'm kind of learning. Yeah, sometimes I'm still like, oh God, I was too close to the camera and I'm like all up here and whatever. But I'm like, you know what? It's me. I've got the accent, can't pronounce half the words, especially because I don't have a script, so I just say it out loud and put it together. And I'm like, but guess what? It's kind of working anyway,
Well,
because it's my human
true.
side. It's the human.
Yeah, it's just true. It's your human side, and people come for your knowledge. People come for your character. Who are you? What are you bringing? Are you bringing the truth? Is that a falsehood? Can they see it? And they want less and less of the filters. Those filters are meant for us older ladies, not for those who are 20. But still, you want the reality. You want what's there, because the overproduction is kind of what people are staying away from. And that's really how the people are speaking, is we don't want all that production, because that doesn't, the genuineness, right? And the connection. And if you're different, then people can kind of sniff it out.
Yes, they absolutely can. Unfortunately, I could speak to you forever, but we are at Snappy Chat time, so we are going to finish in the next few minutes. I love what you do. I'm going to learn more about it, and I definitely want to learn more about what you do and see those virtual reality stages and events, because I do believe this is the future for a lot of us. If we want to build a brand and we want to get out there, we got to get on the stage. It's just a matter of what kind of stage. So I love that. But please tell us, how can people reach out to you? Do you have any events or anything coming up that people can attend or anything? Feel free to share it so people can know who you are and get to know you better.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So it's all under Nicole Borghi, Borghi. You'll see my name here on Snappy Chat. I'm on LinkedIn, so reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. It's the easiest way. Yes, I have 2 events coming up in this next month. It's the Tech Talk Summit, and if you're a speaker, come reach out to me. And also it is from crystals to cash for coaches. The woke doesn't mean broke. So let's build the community that we've been talking about today, and get on the stage. And so bringing those stages to everybody, and you can always attend as well. So the admission is free.
I love that. And I definitely want to attend if it's within my time zone. Maybe not in the middle of the night, but if I can make it, I definitely want to. And I recommend everyone else does. So thank you so much, Nicole. I really appreciate it. Mike says, go to Nicole. She's the next event. I love them. Absolutely. We can't wait. Everyone get together, meet Nicole, reach out to her and learn more about this virtual reality and event space and how you can get on the stage too, because we all need to be seen and heard. Yeah, we all have something to say.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
your time. I appreciate you. And that's going to take a little time to always say goodbye on the restream. Yeah, it always takes a second or